Hi, my name's Phil.
And my name is Rob.
And we've been mates for years. We've done loads of stuff together.
All of which, mainly, have turned into chaos.
But someone then suggested, why don't you do a podcast? That seemed like a good idea, didn't it?
Really did.
Then we realised neither of us have ever done one of those. So is this going to work?
Well, we'll find out, won't we?
Welcome to Two Pastors in a Pod. Anyway, so it's nearly Christmas then.
Hang on, I've got to do the song.
Oh, right, what song?
It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas.
Oh, right, I see.
Everyone at home join in.
Yeah, it's not that song.
Toys in every store, I think it is.
Yeah, okay,
Anyway, I'm so glad.
Yes, look.
I'm so glad you've got your t-shirt on.
Have you noticed it is the only beard I can grow?
I've noticed you're sucking it in a bit.
Yeah, you reckon I'm sucking that in?
You've obviously hang on. You've obviously eaten a lot of mince pies already, haven't you?
Is that right? I've got a question.
Stop sucking it
Why
in.
on earth has a giraffe got to do with Christmas?
You're having a giraffe, aren't you?
Yeah, well, clearly you are by wearing that.
Well, our family likes giraffes.
Yeah, but it's not exactly Christmassy,
You know,
is
but
it?
he's nice. Jerry the giraffe who loves Christmas.
Is that right?
Anyway.
Do you like Christmas?
I love Christmas.
Do you? Is that like one of your things?
No, it is. You know that every Sunday, practically all year, I announce how many days it is to Christmas.
I'm not sure the congregation actually enjoy that.
No.
But you do.
So I have got a bit of a reputation now. But Christmas is special, and it always has been special in my family's life, and I'm sure it's special in your life as well.
It's special. We're going to talk a little bit about what it means to us and things like that. But if this is the first time you've joined us on a podcast, we want to give you a warm welcome. We're really pleased that you're here. And it is nearly Christmas.
It is.
Have you got your decks up? All your decorations all up, all ready to go?
Well, yes. Well, it is. This is going out mid-December, so if we didn't have them up, we'd be in trouble. But I was only saying to my wife the other day, and this might sound a bit sexist, but
really,
if blokes did Christmas,
yeah,
it would be very different, wouldn't it?
It would.
Mean, if blokes did Christmas, do you reckon the Christmas tree would be up early in December or even late November? If blokes did Christmas, do you think there'd be as many decorations up around the house? If blokes did Christmas, do you think you'd buy baubles like my wife does every 5 minutes when we in December and November and October?
I've got to be honest. If this bloke did Christmas, the Christmas tree would be up on Christmas Eve, probably down by Boxing Day.
Well, that's the same with me. It's like Christmas shopping.
You see, I don't mind Christmas shopping because we do our Christmas shopping all the way through the year for one reason.
It's cheaper.
It's a lot cheaper.
Yeah. Well, I used to do Christmas shopping with my dad on Christmas Eve. We would go into town, into Liverpool city centre, and normally, you're right, there were bargains to be had because the sales had started on Christmas Eve. So maybe that's one of our first tips for this Christmas Eve, but then again, it's all about Amazon these days, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not quite the same as going out. But when our decorations go up at home, and my missus, she loves decorations, like your wife, wherever we go in the world, on holiday, visiting, whatever, we have to buy a Christmas bauble.
Yeah, baubles.
I mean, so we've got them absolutely everywhere. But once all the decks are up, we're all
Baubles are the
sorted.
bane of my life. We have got that many baubles. It takes me 6 visits up to the loft just to get the baubles down.
But it's for your wife and you do anything.
But that's our job at Christmas, isn't it?
But once we've set all those up,
getting in the loft.
get in the loft, bring it down. But once it's all set up, we stop.
We do.
We have a cup of tea or a cup of coffee and a mince pie, and you sit there and it's done.
It's nice to have a cup of tea at Christmas, which is our segue into the brew that you've brought.
So this is a Christmas brew.
Is it?
It is produced by a company called Tea Angels, which I always thought was very appropriate for Christmas. We'll see what it tastes like. I know again
it looks like a sample.
Yeah, it does.
As most of the teas do.
But I'm hoping this one might taste a bit better than a sample.
Sample.
Not that I've ever tasted a sample, but anyway.
Anyway, let's have a smell.
Have a sniff. It's got to be Christmassy, apparently.
Well, I can't smell mince pies.
No, I can't really either.
Can't smell Christmas pudding. Can't even smell Brussels sprouts.
You're lucky. Have a tasting.
Actually.
Oh, that's not bad, actually.
No, that's actually quite nice.
What's in it?
Well, I can't taste anything Christmassy.
Well, it's supposed to be Christmassy.
A bit of mint.
There's mint in there.
Yeah, no. What's that got to do with
There's
Christmas?
cinnamon.
Cinnamon?
There's cinnamon in there. That's Christmassy, isn't it? What else you got?
That's mint, cinnamon. Orange?
Orange? Behave.
Well, it's only because it looks...
Would you like it?
It's nice.
Yeah, how much?
I'd give that one an 8,
Would you?
which is good for
Blimey,
me.
for you, that's really
No,
good.
that's- I'll have that.
I'd probably have that as a 7 or an 8.
Can I have that as my Christmas present then?
Cool.
The box.
Do you know how much that cost me? Here it is then. Tea Angel,
Ebenezer Scrooge. Bar humbug.
minty green tea with lemongrass and cinnamon.
Oh, thanks, mate. Cheers. Thanks. Thank you.
I did. Do you like me
Take
to
that
wrap
on
it
with
up? Obviously not. So Christmas then.
Can I just tell the viewers, he will get that back off me later.
Almost certainly.
Guaranteed.
Almost certainly.
Anyway.
I know for a fact that you started, you and your missus, Jill, started a new tradition this year, didn't you?
You got me into trouble.
Come on, tell me.
You got me into trouble telling the whole congregation this the
Come
other
on,
day.
what was the tradition?
Well, we were desperate for a bit of chocolate.
Were we?
We were.
Right.
We were. And I said to her, have you got a bit of chocolate in the house? She said, no. And then she said, oh, yes, I have actually.
Yes.
It was the Christmas tree decorations.
Now these were for your grandchildren,
They
right?
were.
So these are
And
your
our children, because they're all coming at Christmas.
right. So your grandkids and your children, the chocolate balls that went on the tree.
Yeah,
How many did you eat?
all of them.
Those poor little kids.
It was.
Those poor little kids' face when they got no chocolate.
No, just when you just got to have some chocolate.
No, not really.
Well, you do. Anyway.
And that's your new tradition. Every year you're going to eat those.
No, I'll just make sure we get some proper chocolate in. Like Quality Street. You got to have your Quality Street, haven't you? Which is your favourite Quality Street?
Orange.
Orange.
Yeah.
Oh, I like the fudgy ones.
No, the orange one's much better. Thing is with Christmas though, there are so many traditions. There's national traditions, there's international ones, there's personal ones. So what would you say is the most used Christmas tradition? If you think of the whole population, what do you think is the biggest kind of tradition out of everything?
Well, Christmas dinner.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Christmas dinner.
Gathering for Christmas
Yep.
dinner. Yeah, most families do it.
Yeah. So do you have turkey or goose or nut roast or what do you have?
Well, over the years we've mainly had turkey, but one of my daughters doesn't like turkey, so we always have to have beef as well. And then you got to have the pigs in blankets, haven't you?
Yes,
And
you
then
do.
we've never had goose,
Now, do you know, I've never had goose either. I'm told.
never had duck.
No, not done
Never had
duck either. That's a bit posh though, isn't it, having goose? Because you can buy it now easily enough.
Well, is it posh?
Well, I don't know. It never used to be because originally goose was the poor man's kind of food. You know what?
You once reared a turkey, didn't you, for Christmas?
I once, with the help of a friend, reared 12 turkeys, and then some ratbag a week before Christmas nicked 10 of them.
I can't believe that.
Oh, I can't believe
Well,
mine.
they obviously weren't full of the Christmas
But
spirit.
as a result of me rearing turkeys with Richard Lord and deciding that slaughtering and plucking them and all that, my daughter no longer eats turkey.
I'm not surprised. Let's just say his abattoir consisted of a baseball bat. Anyway, but we won't get into that. Let's move on because we've
really
just
wasn't.
switched off
It really-
all of the vegetarians who
Now,
watch this.
do you want to hear something?
Go on.
This Christmas,
Yes.
so we always have turkey, we always have beef, we always have all sorts of other bits and pieces. This year, for the first time, we got a vegan coming. We've never had a vegan
Oh, okay.
for Christmas dinner.
Very trendy to be vegan.
It is very trendy,
Yeah.
but it's also a little confusing for those of us who are carnivores because you have to sit back and go, what do we do for vegan? So, somebody in the congregation is making a nut roast. I have never had a nut roast
Actually,
in my life.
I have.
Is it any good?
And it's really nice. And
Is it?
I think I know who's making you that, and it will be very, very.
Yeah, well, we feel very honoured that it's being made for us. But then you have to look at how you cook your potatoes. And all that.
Can't use any animal fats.
And the only good thing is
What?
that vegans don't eat sprouts.
Yes. Which what? Of course they do. It should be a staple diet of the vegans. Sprouts.
Oh, I can't stand sprouts.
I know.
I'm convinced they were created after the fall of mankind. They are horrible things. I mean, I don't know whether the listeners are listening, but if if there are kids watching this podcast, if your parents ever tell you that they're small cabbages, they're not. They're sprouts, and they're horrible. And my kids always hide one in my Christmas dinner every year.
Well, there's ways of disguising them these days, isn't it? Like making them look like chocolate.
It doesn't make a blind bit of difference.
So Christmas.
So there's a lot of traditions which we have in our houses.
Yeah.
But do you rate Christmas in terms of where we're at as a society? What's happened to Christmas?
I think it's changed, hasn't it? I mean, we're of a certain age. You're
Well, you are.
You're catching me up. And if you go back to our first Christmases, which were in the 60s and the 70s, there wasn't all this hullabaloo, was there?
There definitely wasn't hullabaloo, that's for sure.
It wasn't as materialistic as it is now. And the run up to Christmas didn't start in the end of August, beginning of September, did it? You know, it's when it got colder, it started. But it's become so commercialised now, hasn't it?
It's become something which is everybody's kind of celebration, and no one wants to stop people stopping and celebrating. The thing is, for me, is that Christmas is unashamedly a Christian celebration.
It is.
And I genuinely think we kind of as a society missed the point.
We have, but and again, you can see there's a bit of spiritual warfare going on here, because the devil is seeking to dumb it down. I mean, how many once called Christmas festivals are now called winter festivals?
Yeah, you'll see councils and governments and organisations just seeking to move the Christ out. You're particularly, you've got a real thing, haven't you?
I really don't like it when people sign their Christmas cards Happy Xmas, because you take in, Nathan's thinking I better not send the card with Xmas on there. But you're taking the Christ out of Christmas, aren't you? And so,
get M&S if you do that.
So that's true. So many people do that. So that is a pet dislike of mine when people take Christ out of Christmas, because it is unashamedly Christian.
I think about parents and Christian parents for kids. What do you think a Christian Christmas should look like with our kids? Is everything got to go? I mean, should Christians have Christmas trees? They're pagan. That's their history. That's where it kind of started, until that pagan celebration was taken away and transformed into something more acceptable to Christians.
I think you can have a lot of the trappings. You can have a lot of the traditions, which are good. It's nice to have a Christmas tree up. It's nice to pull crackers around the Christmas table. It's nice to partake of that meal. But first and foremost, we have to put Christ first, right at the centre. So for our kids, we need to be reiterating to our kids, well, the reason we celebrate this season of peace and goodwill is because the Christ, the Messiah, was born, and we have to just keep emphasising that message. I mean, I spoke to that the other week.
And you've absolutely nailed me for a new tradition in our house this Christmas.
Okay, well, I spoke about a Passover feast, didn't I?
Yeah.
And when Jesus was gathered his disciples around the table for the Last Supper, traditionally every Jewish home, when they came to Jerusalem to celebrate Passover, would gather around a table, and then somebody amongst them would get up and tell the story of the Exodus, which is what they were remembering, you know.
Which is very much of a verbal tradition of history. But what we're going to do, me and Tia talked about it this year at our Christmas dinner.
Yeah.
At the end of the main course and before the desserts come out, we're going to stop and we're going to read from the Book of Luke. Just a couple of verses or a part of that passage that we're reminded why Christmas is Christmas.
That's good.
And that means our little granddaughter, if we continue that tradition,
That's good.
then that becomes something just like the Passover, where you're reminded of why do we have Christmas
You know what?
in the first place.
I've just had an idea.
What's
So
that?
for any Christian entrepreneur out there who wants to sell to the Christian market, why don't you do Christmas crackers instead of a joke? Well, maybe have a joke in there as well, but also have a little bit of scripture in there as well, so that could be read out around the table as well. Wouldn't that be a good idea?
That'd be great, but at least it's not commercial. But that seems to work quite well. But there's lots of other things which, when you look at the traditions of where they've turned up from. So the biggest question I get asked as a pastor regularly, with at least every Christmas, was Jesus really born on the 25th of December?
Well, tradition says he was probably born in September. So we've taken a, well, what happened was, way back in the day, they took a Roman pagan god festival.
Yeah.
Because they wanted to convert it to Christianity, they turned it into a celebration of Christ instead of, I think it was the sun god, I can't remember. Didn't do my research before this
You
podcast.
see, you really should have done.
Did you do it?
No.
No, well, there you go. Maybe Nathan could help us out. He's sensible, isn't he?
But ultimately,
Yeah, but it was a pagan festival.
it's not the date though, is it?
No, it's not.
The
It's
date
not.
is not the important thing. It's the fact that we stop in a year with lots of other stuff going on, that we actually stop and remember the point and the reason.
I love the fact that we do that. I love the fact that we remember that the King of Glory came down
Yeah.
from heaven to earth to save sinners such as we. I love the story. I mean, you did this at our Christmas meal the other day. The story of the shepherds and how these were ordinary people, and yet the myriad of the heavenly host came and told them the good news. And I just love it, and the fact that it's for ordinary people like you and
Which
I.
is exactly
And
what
the
the angel
Saviour
said.
came.
Yeah. Which is exactly what the angel's saying. Don't be afraid. We live in a world where there is a lot of fear. And I think if we're talking about a Christian Christmas, there's some aspects like reminding our kids and our family of what the point is. I love getting together on Christmas Day. In all my years as a minister, which is 30 odd years, I've only ever missed one Christmas Day. And I love Christmas Day service. Now, we get together in a football club.
We do.
But because if you think of family, not every family get together is easy. Some people dread getting their families together around the Christmas table and wish that Great Armand would go home a bit quicker, or apologies to any Great Armands out there. But, you know, there is often tension. Apparently, the Samaritans have more calls on Christmas Day and Boxing Day than any other time of the year.
Yeah.
Whereas when we get together as Christian family, then that should be a thrilling time for us to gather.
See, there's often friction, isn't there?
Yeah.
And there are fractious relationships that have maybe kept at bay over the year. But when you get everyone round at Christmas, and you know, particularly if there's drink involved, things can get a little out of hand.
Yeah.
I remember years ago, I used to, this before I was a Christian, I worked in a pub, and I worked Christmas Eve and a Christmas Day, and I remember Christmas Eve, some of the factories were closed, and everybody would come in and get absolutely blind drunk, and then there were just fights kicking off. And then Christmas Day itself, my mum hated me working on Christmas Day, and even then there were people who were barred from the pub coming in, and I remember standing behind the bar on Christmas Day with a pool cue in my hand, waiting for it. If you can tell I'm from Liverpool.
Yeah, I can tell you're not from that.
Waiting for it all to kick off on Christmas Day. And I became a Christian 2 years after that, and my Christmas changed forever.
And your wife doesn't mind you working now on Christmas Day?
Well, we do.
Well, we do that.
Well, we don't really call it work, do we?
I mean, it's hard to believe because obviously I'm quite young. But I have been Father Christmas at numerous schools, church gigs. I actually at one point did Father Christmas as a job, a paid job.
Yes, I know.
Where in a 7 or 8 hour kind of session of being Father Christmas, I saw 650 kids. But sometimes, even then, the parents were drunk when they brought their kids. And that's not where we should be. No. One of the things for us as grown-ups at Christmas is we set an example for our kids. Yeah. And even if we're not particularly Christmassy, and I'll be honest, I have been described as the Grinch at Christmas, which I'm not.
No, I can understand that.
Oh,
or rather, Ebenezer.
I am not Ebenezer either.
Well, I'm not going to keep that tea, am I? Am I?
Of course you are.
We'll see.
But ultimately, we need to be, as adults, as Christians, actually making the effort to make that one of the most special days of the year because of the point of it.
Well, we'll only make it special if we keep Christ at the centre.
Christ has to be at the centre.
It is a season of giving, and we have a tradition of gifts, which I think will stem from the fact that the greatest gift ever was given to us on that first Christmas. So we have that tradition of gifts, and it's good to give, isn't it? It's good to give.
And like any gift, unless we unwrap it, unless we take it apart, look at it, investigate it. I mean, we have to do that with Christ. We have to say, this Jesus, if he came, when he came, what did he come for?
Yeah.
needs to be investigated. And I always like it when those who haven't got a particular faith have, at this time of the year, a willingness. And I think one of the things for us as Christians is that out of all the times of the year, our neighbours, even our family members and our friends who have not got a faith have a willingness to listen to the reason that we have a season called Christmas.
I think there's a willingness, or more of a willingness at Christmas time for people to actually come to church. I think church attendance at Christmas time it peaks, doesn't it? And folk who don't normally attend church on a regular basis will come along and sing carols, because that's been born out of a tradition.
Yeah, but someone said to me the other day, does it worry you that people come just out of mere tradition at Christmas? Personally, I don't care, as long as they're there. I don't care how they come.
Yeah, because people engage with the carols. I mean, there's some wonderful theology in the old carols, isn't it? You know, that we sing. People engage with that, and they engage with the gospel, because it's an opportunity, isn't it, to proclaim the gospel in a way that people hopefully will understand, and we can engage with.
So I mean, again, as Christians, as part of this Christian Christmas,
yeah,
then we need to take the opportunity to talk to our neighbours and our friends. We need to actually take a Christmas card and take an invitation.
Absolutely.
Get them round.
So if you have a Christmas service, please invite folk to that Christmas service.
And don't be ashamed to have them round. Have them round for a mince pie. Get to know your neighbours that way. Yeah. It's the perfect time of year to do that.
But it's not great for everyone, is it?
No, I mean, there will be those this year in our congregation for whom loved ones have passed away during the year. This is their first Christmas on their own.
Yeah.
That's a tough gig. There are others who've got no family. Quite literally, there are no family members around.
And in Scripture, we're quite clearly told, aren't we, to look after the widows and the orphans. And Christmas particularly is a tough time of year, isn't it?
I mean, over the years, we've had lots of people who are on their own or to Christmas dinner. One memorable Christmas dinner, and if you decide to do this, be warned, a dear older lady, we had a number of people around the table, and halfway through dinner, her false teeth fell out into a Christmas dinner. And we had someone visiting from Spain who just sat there and stared. You can never tell what's going to happen.
Feliz Navidad.
Very good. Very good. But that's a good thing for our kids as well, to remember it isn't just about us. No. That it is about those in a bigger community.
I mean, yes, it's good to invite folk around for Christmas Day, but I think in the whole run up to Christmas and beyond Christmas, we need to remember that folk are lonely.
Yeah.
And folk who once had really good memories of Christmas, now it's a bittersweet thing, isn't it? Now with the loss of someone who they were close to, who they celebrated many Christmases with, he or she is gone.
So what do we do about that?
So just get alongside folk.
I mean, what does that? Yeah, but get alongside folk. Okay, forget Christmas Day. In the run up to Christmas and following Christmas, what are the practical things we can do? What does getting alongside someone at Christmas look like?
Well, it's ringing them up. It's going round. It's going having a cup of tea and a mince pie. It's just
giving people your tea bags.
Giving people your tea bag. It's just showing them that the love of Christ, isn't it? And showing hospitality and remembering the fact that these folk will be lonely and hurting at Christmas, and just because of that, it's not just remembering, it's actually doing something about it, and just going and
just making that contact.
Trying your best to get alongside. And you're right, to show your kids that you're doing that as well is important.
And I think that way we begin to build this Christmas mentality. It's quite interesting. So you've got grown-up kids.
Yeah,
I've got grown-up kids.
And now grandkids.
And now grandkids. But it's interesting, some of the traditions that our kids have taken on board because we did them.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the hopes about this kind of stopping halfway through dinner just to say, why are we doing what we're doing?
A new tradition.
That would be great if that was taken on for generations.
I tried to start one years ago because we inherited a few traditions. So I would get fireworks. And I would set fireworks off on Christmas Day.
I'll tell you what, I bet the neighbours absolutely loved that.
It only lasted 2 or 3 years. It didn't embed.
That was quite a long firework display, though, wasn't it?
It It didn't go off with a bang. Let's just say that it didn't embed itself. But anyway,
So and
we have the one tradition of the tradition of the ceremony
Yeah.
of the Christmas pud, which we've got coming in from Jill's family.
Yeah.
Where we used to go to theirs for Christmas dinner, and her dad would come in with the Christmas pud. He would get the bottle of brandy that he kept in the
Right.
cupboard all year round. Never drank it, but it was the same bottle of brandy. I think it was about 30 years old because Yorkshireman. So he gets his spoon out and he pours a bit of brandy on there, makes sure not to have too much, puts it on the Christmas pud, gets the match and lights it, and then you get the blue flame and the Christmas pud, and everyone around the table goes, "Yay, happy Christmas."
you know, about 10 years ago,
We do that in our house now.
about 10 years ago,
Yeah,
we tried that.
yeah.
Now, nobody had told me that you're supposed to heat up the brandy before you put it on.
Well, we don't do that.
Well, that's what you're supposed to do.
Well, you have a hot pudding, don't you? So it gets hot anyway.
Yeah, but you're supposed to heat it because then you put it on and it lights. Well, I tried to light it, and I tried to light it, and I just kept pouring it on because it wouldn't light.
Can I imagine?
I tell you what, it was the booziest Christmas pudding we ever had. Did you know in 15 something or other, it was made illegal in this country to eat Christmas
Yeah,
pudding?
you told me that earlier.
I don't know why.
Well, I asked the question why. Well, you only got
Obviously, the
you've
kid
only-
at the time didn't like it.
Well, that's a bit weird. Isn't it?
So that's a tradition which you can either do or you don't have to do. I think one of the things for you and I is that we love Christmas, hopefully for the right reasons. And we want the fact that Jesus came as the light of the world to just be demonstrated. And one of the greatest
the angels
things...
said, "For unto us is born this day in the city of David a Saviour, who is Christ the Lord."
Do you know, one of the things we used to do, and we probably will continue to do, but when our former Queen used to do the Queen's speech,
Yes,
in the last 10 years of her life, she wrote her own speech.
she did.
And she constantly reminded folk
Yeah.
that Jesus was her saviour,
Good old Queen Elizabeth.
and that the best way to live was to follow Jesus. And I think one of those things that we would echo that in our podcast. We hope that you're going to have an amazing Christmas and a really good New Year. It's surprising this podcast has actually got to where it's got to.
Yeah, are you going to sing?
I am definitely not going to sing, and nor are you.
We're not going to do "We Wish
No, we're not
You a
going to do
Merry
that, no.
Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas.
And a Happy New Year. See you soon. See you in 25.
Take care.